Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to mix together the ingredients for a loaf of bread, work with the dough, and get it ready to prove. And of course, I'll be describing what that is, but proving is when the yeast go to work, create air bubbles, and give you that lovely texture that you get with a great piece of bread. Guys, thanks for being here. I am Eric. This is the Loudboy Experience, and let's go. There was a time when making my own bread seemed like mission impossible. Does it seem impossible to you? Well, let's take some of the mystery out of this mission impossible. Let's demystify this. I simply had to learn how to do it, and I think you can as well. This is a sourdough starter. Little yeast in here have been burping away. They come from the air all around us. And every time they do, every time they munch in this, it creates and it grows and it swells. Guess what? Flavor is happening, and it is very healthy for you, much more digestible. So it tastes great. It's better for you. Why wouldn't you do it? Well, let's do it. Watch my other video to see how you can make your own sourdough starter. And this very video is about making sourdough bread. My first job was in a bakery. And back then I had no idea about this. After school, it was my first after-school job. I just washed pots and pans, and then I would bring in 50-pound bags of flour, of sugar, into the bakery so the baker can make it the next day. 750 grams of strong white flour, it's about 6 cups. 500 grams of our sourdough starter, which is approximately 4 cups. 15 grams of salt, and 350 to 450 milliliters of water, room temperature water. In addition to our 750 grams of strong white flour, and again, strong white flour is just flour that's bread flour, has a lot of protein in it. It's a high protein level flour. We also need 500 grams of our homemade sourdough starter. So I have a digital scale before me, and I'm going to start weighing this out. That is 502 grams. That is going to be close enough. Now that I've used my sourdough starter for this recipe, I'm down to about this much, but that's okay. I'm simply going to feed this and add to it, and it'll grow once again. And that is the beauty of this, is that you can use some, add back to it, the volume will increase, so every few days or so you can just keep using it whenever you do need to bake some new bread. Ingredients: the 750 grams of strong white flour, the 500 grams of our sourdough starter, the 350 to 450 milliliters of water, and finally the 15 grams of salt. To our flour, on one side of the bowl, we're going to add our 15 grams of salt. We are now going to add our sourdough starter to the other side of the bowl. We have our salt on one side, our starter on the other. And what I'm going to start doing is starting to kind of fold this in. I need to add a little bit of water to this and begin mixing. At this point, I want to start getting my hands in there. And that is just the beauty of working with bread and working with bread dough, is that it is a hands-on project. You need to be able to feel where your dough is at. How moist is it? Does it need more water? Are you building up the gluten? And the gluten comes from kneading the dough. Okay, that's working the dough, and you're going to see me doing that as we go and add a little bit more water here. You don't want to add too much too quickly. The goal at this point is to simply have the dough pick up as much of the flour from the sides of the bowl, from the inside of the bowl as possible. As the bread rises, it has those little air pockets and stuff like that, right? Well, that is gluten. Gluten without proving it, without knowing that then you'll just have flat and awful bread without that. So that's why we, quote, knead our bread. Now we have our dough on the board. I've put a little bit of olive oil down instead of flour. The reason we do that is if you put down flour, the dough will continue to soak up that flour, and it's going to completely change that water to flour ratio that we meticulously measured out before. So using oil works just well. So what I'm going to do now is start to actually knead this dough. All right, and this is a process to where we keep flipping it over and using both of our hands. You can see it actually is sticking to the board still at this point, which it will do. As the gluten builds up, as this dough continues to get stronger over these next 5 to 10 minutes, it will start to look smooth and beautiful and will not stick the way that it is now. There are lots of different ways. Some people prefer the slapping method. They kind of stretch it out and they slap it like that. And I'm actually getting winded doing this. This is a lot of work. It's worth it. You know what? And once you lay hands on your own ball of dough, once you lay hands on dough that you have created from the ground up, especially from a sourdough starter, A, you will love it. B, this work, it won't feel like work anymore. This will feel like just something special that you're creating something. And more than that, what you're creating is something that you can share, something that you can eat and enjoy and make an amazing sandwich or some dinner rolls, or my favorite, make pizza dough. Okay, guys, this is how I make pizza dough. I make my own dough, and after I've proved it, I take it out, and then, I stretch it and I roll it into the rounds to make a pizza. And guys, I want you, check out some of the photos of the pizzas that I've made. Let's give it a little test. We are getting, check that out, guys. I'm not there yet, but I'm just doing a quick test. When I press in, that's slowly bouncing back. All right, the gluten is getting stronger. As we get closer to getting the dough that we need for it to prove for a while, the goal is for it to have a nice, smooth skin, if you will. All right? It's going to be nice and smooth. And we are pretty much there. I'm getting spring back from the dough. Okay? This is almost there. I'm probably going to give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. I'm kind of cupping my hands around it, using the friction of the board. You can see I'm kind of pushing away from myself, allowing that to tighten the surface of this ball of dough. We're almost there. Yeah, you can see that? It is springing back. We've got some pretty good gluten structure forming here. All right, we got a pretty good, pretty smooth on that. Yep, some nice resistance and bounce back. We guys are basically there. I'm gonna call it. That'll work for now. I think that's enough to be able to prove it, and that's enough gluten for now. Yeah, we got some nice spring back. It takes its form. So that is what we want. We got our plastic wrap on there. Doesn't have to be super airtight. Just give it a good cover, okay? Press around the edges. That's good enough. There it is. And now I'm going to let this sit to at minimum 1 hour, but upwards to 2 or more hours. You can leave it overnight if you want. But now we're going to prove whether the yeast and whether our sourdough starter is going to do its job.